GMOs are one of the most controversial areas of science. Genetic engineering is used in many fields, such as insulin, vaccines, immune deficiencies, antibodies, and many medical treatments. However, the debate heats up when it comes to food and agriculture. Humans have been genetically modifying plants and animals for thousands of years. Maybe a few of your crops had very good yields, so you did the smart thing and bred the plants and animals that had the traits beneficial to you using selective breeding. With each generation, those genes became more pronounced. After thousands of years, almost every single plant and animal around us is vastly different from its original ancestor. Selective breeding is basically hoping for lucky hits. Genetic engineering eliminates this faster, meaning we can choose the traits we want. So why are people so concerned about them? Let's start with one of the most common arguments against GMOs, gene flow, meaning GMO crops could mix with traditional crops and introduce unwanted new characteristics into them. GM plants can't run wild entirely. Many crops pollinate themselves, and all crops have to be related to reproduce. There are also methods like buffer zones to keep unintentional crossing at a minimum. However, there's actually a more important question. Is food that comes from GM crops different to food from non-GM crops? GM plants that are designed to be eaten are always checked for possible dangers, and the results are evaluated by multiple agencies to make sure the food is safe. After more than 30 years and thousands of studies, the science confirms that eating GMO plants is no more risky than their non-GMO equivalent. When it comes to pests, a gene is borrowed from a bacteria that lets engineered plants produce a protein that destroys the digestive system of specific insects. The plant makes its own pesticide. The insects that eat it die. Pesticides can be sprayed and washed off, while the poison in BT crops is inside the plant. But actually, it's not as big of a deal as you may think. Poison is really just a question of different digestive systems. What's harmless to one species might kill another. Coffee, for example, is a poison that kills insects but is harmless to humans. Or take chocolate. It's very dangerous for dogs, but can be eaten by humans. Eggplant is an important crop in Bangladesh, but sometimes whole harvests are destroyed by pests. Farmers have to rely heavily on pesticides. Not only was this expensive, but farmers were frequently getting sick. The introduction of new GMO eggplant in 2013 stopped this. The same BT protein was engineered into them. This reduced insecticides, another word for pesticides, used on eggplants by more than 80%. The health of farmers improved and the income rose dramatically. Scientists are working on GMOs that could improve our diet, plants that produce more or different nutrients like fruit with higher antioxidant levels that can help fight diseases or rice with additional vitamins. We could even modify plants to become super effective carbon collectors, like the American chestnut tree, and actually reverse climate change. The world eats 11 million pounds of food every day, and a UN estimate suggests we'll need 70% more by 2050. We could grow that food by clearing more and more forests to create fields and pastures, or we find a way to do it on the land we've got right now, with more effective methods like GMO crops. In a nutshell, GMOs have the potential to not only drastically change agriculture, but also to dampen the effects of our own irresponsible behavior in our environment.